They say silence can drive a man crazy, but Nathan always found peace in it. He loved camping alone, no people, no phones, just him and the sound of nature breathing. That weekend, he drove out to a forest just outside Pine Hollow, a place he'd never been before. The locals called it the Whispering Trail. He laughed when he heard the name, thought it sounded like a ghost story made up to scare kids. But he didn't know. It wasn't just a name. The trail was narrow, surrounded by tall, crooked pine trees that almost seemed to lean toward him as he walked. Every now and then, the wind would pass through the branches, and he'd swear he heard voices, faint, broken, like someone whispering his name, but too far to understand. He told himself it was the wind. It always is. By sunset, Nathan set up his tent near a small clearing. The forest was silent except for the soft crackling of his campfire. He recorded a short video log for his camera. Day 1. Nothing spooky yet. Just me, the trees, and my own thoughts. He smiled. That would be his last recording. Around midnight, he woke up suddenly. No reason, just that strange feeling when your body knows something's wrong. The fire had almost died, and the woods were completely still. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Soft, deliberate, moving just beyond the glow of his dying fire. Crunch, pause, crunch. Nathan whispered, "Hello?" No answer. He grabbed his flashlight and shone it toward the trees, but the beam caught nothing, only mist hanging low between the trunks. Then the whispering started again, this time closer. He couldn't tell what they were saying, only that it sounded human, almost pleading. He turned slowly and froze. Behind him, on the edge of the light, stood a figure, tall, motionless, watching. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. He called out again, but before he could finish, the light flickered and the figure was gone. He ran to his tent, zipped it up, and sat there trembling, clutching the flashlight like a weapon. For hours, he listened to the whispers surrounding him, circling his camp. Sometimes a man's voice, sometimes a woman's, sometimes something else. At dawn, the forest seemed calm again. He packed his things in silence and started walking back to the main trail. That's when he noticed something in the dirt. Footprints, dozens of them, all barefoot, all circling where his tent had been, and every single one was facing inward. Nathan showed the photos to a park ranger later that morning. The ranger stared for a long moment, then said quietly, "You camped near Site 12?" Nathan nodded. The ranger exhaled slowly and muttered, "That's where a hiker vanished 6 years ago. We never found her body, just her campsite, surrounded by the same footprints. Nathan never went back, but sometimes when the night wind passes through the trees outside his home, he swears he can still hear her voice, whispering his name." They weren't supposed to be out there that long. Mia and her brother Jake were only going for a short afternoon hike, a quick adventure before the storm rolled in. But by the time the rain started, they'd already lost the trail. Their phone batteries were low, GPS barely working, and the sky had turned dark far too early. They tried to retrace their steps, but every path looked the same. Then they saw it, a cabin deep between the trees, old, covered in vines, and strangely silent. No smoke, no sounds. It looked abandoned. They ran toward it, desperate for shelter. But when they got closer, something felt off. The place had no windows and no front door, just a single opening on one side, a jagged crack in the wall, wide enough to crawl through. Jake laughed nervously. "Guess we're squatters tonight." They climbed in. Inside, the air was warm, too warm. It smelled like burnt wood and something metallic, almost like old blood. They sat in the corner, sharing a granola bar, trying to ignore the sounds of rain hammering the roof. Then came a thud from above them. Jake froze. Another thud, heavier this time. Someone or something was moving on the roof. He aimed his flashlight upward, but there was no attic, no stairs, just a solid ceiling. He whispered, "Probably a raccoon," but his voice didn't sound convinced. At 2:43 a.m., Mia woke up, not because of noise, but because she could feel someone breathing right next to her ear. She turned her light on. Jake was asleep a few feet away. The breathing sound came again, long, slow, and wet. It was coming from inside the wall. She shook Jake awake, panicking. "There's someone in the wall, Jake!" They grabbed their bags and ran toward the opening they came through. But when they reached it, it was gone. The wall was solid. No cracks, no gaps. Just dark, damp wood stretching from floor to ceiling. They screamed, banged their hands, but the cabin didn't respond. It just breathed. By morning, hikers found them wandering near the main road, soaked, shaking, barely speaking. When the rangers went to look for the cabin, they found nothing. Just an empty patch of trees and burnt soil. The old man at the ranger station said quietly, "That's where the Anders family lived. Cabin burned down in 1989. Locals say the walls still remember how they died, trapped inside, with the door nailed shut." Tyler wasn't scared of the woods. He was a survival vlogger, the kind of guy who could build a fire from wet leaves and sleep under open skies without blinking twice. That weekend, he wanted to do something special. A 48-hour solo challenge deep in the Appalachian forest. No help, no backup, no cell signal, just him and his camera. The first day went smoothly. Food cooked, tent up, campfire lit. By midnight, he started filming his Night 1 segment. You could hear the crickets, the fire crackling, and Tyler's calm voice saying, "Still alive. Woods are peaceful. I get why people disappear here, it's kind of beautiful." He smiled. Then the wind shifted, and faintly behind his voice the camera picked up another voice, whispering, female, almost gentle. "Don't stay here." Tyler froze when he heard it on playback. He looked around, the woods were empty. He laughed nervously at the camera. "Okay, I'm officially creeped out." He shut it off, but a few minutes later, he heard the same whisper again, only this time, right behind him. He spun around with his flashlight. Nothing, just shadows dancing between the trees. Then he noticed one of his cameras, which he'd set on a tripod near the fire, had moved. It was now facing directly at him, recording. He didn't remember turning it. He picked it up, checked the footage, and what he saw made him drop the camera. In the recording, he was sitting by the fire, facing the camera, but behind him, just over his shoulder, stood a pale woman, her face half burned, her mouth moving silently. The next morning, the park rangers found Tyler's camp. The fire was still burning, his gear was untouched, but Tyler was gone. Only his camera remained, half buried in the dirt. When they tried to play the last clip, it was corrupted, except for 1 second of clear audio, a woman's voice, whispering through static. "He's still here. The woods don't need monsters. They already have us, the ones who never came back."